You guys, it is one of those days. I haven't been online much at all because of my husband and all of our crazy things, but here I am. I'm Suzanne Tickemeyer. If you don't know who I am, I wrote a column for almost 10 years called No Longer Quivering for Pathos. It covered fundamentalism, evangelicalism, and the quiverful movement. Now I'm living in Costa Rica and I'm super salty most of the time. Oh, upside down, salty. And I'm old and retired. So here I am. If you could do the YouTube things, I'd love that. These are just my opinions. Please don't bully anybody I talk about here because there are going to be a couple that I'm going to talk about. And don't be rude to each other in the comments. I mean, that really sucks. And I was really rude to somebody the other day, and I kind of regret it now. I need to go back and edit. I was just kind of irked because the whole Harry and Meghan thing. The Harry and Meghan thing was just a ridiculous thing for me. I was watching this and going, this is like stupid Princess Diana. I'm still not liking anything I've seen. I saw the preview video that Netflix released of the second part, and I had no idea there were two parts to this thing. I thought for sure one and done. The 3 episodes they had were it. Nope. Well, guess what? For me, it's a big nope. I watched the show. I wasn't impressed. I was just like, no. Hey, Meemaw Dragon. Oh, hope you're having a great day. I also want to talk about the preparations for Christmas. I don't know what you guys are doing. Guess what I'm doing? Nothing. Nothing at all. That is one of the nice things about being retired in Costa Rica is sometimes I put up a tree, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I worry about things like Christmas, sometimes I don't. This is a not worrying time. The kids were just here. We exchanged what gifts we were going to exchange, and that is it. Hey, number one fan and Christine. So that's what we're doing. We're doing nothing. My husband may go to the tamale dinner at the other church that we have never attended, but I'm not going back. I went last year and the tamales were cooked in palm leaves. I'm allergic to palm oil, palm. So that's a solid no for me for the food, and a solid no because the church is the type of church that thinks that Christmas Eve service, where you have people that are usually not churchgoers showing up, is the perfect time to say, hey, you're going to burn in hell if you don't accept Jesus the way we, hey, you're going to burn in hell if you don't accept Jesus the way we are portraying him. Our flavor of Jesus. I am so not about that in any church. Same here. Family on Christmas Eve and just the two of us Christmas Day. I semi-decorated as the first year free from a narcissistic husband. Me, Mom, that's fine. I showed somebody a picture earlier of the kind of decorations I did in Virginia, and it was pretty extreme. I was looking at that going, look at all those antiques. Look at this. Look at that. This time it's kind of like, okay, so I got the lights on the tree, and that's about it. And that's okay. Maybe I'll put the ornaments on, maybe not. Oh, well. So it's just the two of us too, and I think probably I will cook a turkey. There's been so much effery going on in the community, and I just haven't been in watching it or gauging it at all because of my husband and his surgery recently. I've learned something moving to Costa Rica. If you're ever sick and they try to take you to a hospital, try to make sure it is the most modern of them. Because when I had my little bladder adventures and I had 104, 105 fever, they took me to a place in Liberia that turned out to be an effing nightmare. I was there almost 4 days. And what do I mean by a nightmare? I wish I could show you on my arms. I still have scars on both sides. I got venipunctured 27 times for IVs, and they wouldn't listen to me. They were continuing on. I had cancer years ago. I have really shot veins. I have deep, tiny rolling veins. A lot of them are scarred now. So if you're not experienced, you need to go in there with an ultrasound and look, if you're not going to listen to me and go in exactly where I tell you to go in, because I have some good spots. And by the end, I was begging them to look on my legs and feet for veins rather than the arms and the hands, and to push the blood pressure cuff to my calf, because blood pressure calves can blood pressure cuffs can measure blood pressure from your calf just as well as your arm. I learned that many years ago. You know, you can take a blood pressure cuff and wrap it around a horse's tail and get an accurate blood pressure on the horse. So there's a lot of places it can go besides upper arms. I was incredibly bruised up. So this time when they started talking about my husband going there and the surgeon was going, "Oh yeah, it's perfectly fine to wait on this surgery," I was kind of like, "No. That's a hospital that our insurance does not pay for, so it's all up front. And I am not up front in a place that acts like that." So we actually went to a nice modern hospital in San Jose for the surgery, and I'm damn glad, because he started to rupture during the surgery. The gallbladder spewing pus and God knows what all everywhere. So they had to go in there and do a cleanup before they could even complete the surgery. So I've learned. I learned the hard way. So I'm just going to say, if you ever have to go in, ask a lot of questions. And if you don't like the hospital or something they're doing like that, you have every right to say, "Hey, I am leaving here against medical advice and going elsewhere." That's what I have learned. So I'm almost caught back up again with my life and the things that I do. Almost done all the laundry, cleaned everything. We had guests here that were staying in the house and in the guest house. And the only thing I haven't done is go to the guest house and grab the sheets. That's the last thing I really need to do here. So I finally got to where I could come on and talk to you guys at all. The drama. I mean, yesterday I was on Jay LaRusso's channel, and I like Jay. Jay knocked heads with people in the community. It was about 2 years ago, maybe. He was unmedicated and experiencing some not so good things, and I didn't go after him then. I'm not going to go after him now. Jay is a really sweet guy. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Steve McRae, the sex cult leader, was supposed to be on there with Erin and myself. I woke up this morning to a lot of people saying, "Oh, I can't believe you're on there with Erin, blah, blah, blah." And here's what I have to say. Who Jay chooses to have on his channel is Jay's business, not mine. And I've been on a lot of live streams with people. What I have to say. Who Jay chooses to have on his channel is Jay's business, not mine. And I've been on a lot of live streams with people I don't necessarily always agree with. I don't always necessarily agree with Erin. Sometimes Erin does stuff that horrifies me. Like this whole BX Beast Boy thing. I haven't watched it, so I can't really say that Erin was right or wrong. The same as I didn't watch Real Entertainment News and her and JJ the very next day. I just don't have time to watch all the streams. I saw a few clips. What I saw didn't exactly thrill me, but Erin, time to watch all the streams. I saw a few clips. What I saw didn't exactly thrill me, but Erin is one grown ass adult that can do whatever Erin feels like doing. And this is not me approving or disapproving of her at all. This is me just saying, hey, make up your own minds, but don't dare to dictate my choice. That's what I always laugh about when creators have people that come after them. I did laugh. There was somebody that was in the live stream there yesterday, going by the name of Ballet S, who came after Erin and I and accused us of only talking about the gal who you know I'm talking about, she who shall not be named, which is incredibly untrue. I'm going to start talking more about Costa Rica tonight. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a Costa Rica junk food comparison video because I feel like it is time. And there's a lot of really great foods here. One of the things that it's a struggle for me sometimes is eating because I have pretty severe food allergies. In the States, I can't eat a lot of prepared breads because they have that long chemical that is in yoga mats in them, and that makes my asthma go insane. It's very bad for anybody with lung problems whatsoever. So there's a lot of places, a lot of types of bread I can't eat in the States. I tend to buy the more expensive breads because it tends not to have that dough conditioner in it. Here, it's banned like it is in most of the world. USA, what the hell? Why don't you just go ahead and ban this thing? Um, I wish they would go ahead and ban it. It would make it a lot simpler for myself and others. Since I've gotten back from San Jose, it seems like I've been cooking all the time. My poor husband, things went so poorly and he's taking longer to recover and he got sicker than I've ever seen him before. At first could only have mashed potatoes and jello. I mean, for the first 4 or 5 days after his surgery. So I had to make a mashed potato soup with ham and all kinds of things. And it turned out really well. I was surprised. Hey, flying mom, Laura. So I was really surprised at how well that turned out. I think I'm going to put the recipe, and it's not my recipe, it's Megan. Megan, her recipe, she posted it with shrimp in it. And I would make it with shrimp, but I knew with my husband I needed to make it as low down on the irritability scale as possible. So I made it with like broccoli, a little bit of cheese, onions, potatoes, of course, a little ham, a little bacon, and there was something else I used. I don't even remember right, but it came out well. So that's it. I'm going to be pushing my content as far away from she who shall not be mentioned because her actions just keep getting worse and worse. And I like myself too much to be able to torture myself like that every single day. It's like the same thing why I don't really comment here on stuff done by the anti crowd because they can do what they want. I don't have to approve of it. It's not my circus, not my monkeys. Oh, so like I said, I've been talking to a former judge from Mississippi, who has been digging into the Tiger King thing. He lives here, and the family, the police, myself, and many others believe that there's no way that Don Lewis was ever here after the point where his wife says, "Oh, he was in Costa Rica." We're all pretty sure he was not, that he never left Florida. So I'm going to put together my thoughts on that soon too, and some other things. I may do finally a video on the murder of Carol Ann Cole, which I wrote a book about that I've completely shelved. There is a lot that went down there that is not really well known because the Bossier Parish Sheriff's Department has been extremely uncooperative in everything they've done as far as the Carol Ann Cole case. And once I started writing about it for Pathos, they put pressure on the family to shut the heck up. They told them that cooperating with me would jeopardize the case. I personally do not see how cooperating with a favorable media source that is going to bring attention to the case is that bad, unless it's someone who just makes stuff up again. I've seen this case covered by true crimers quite a bit on YouTube, and I've seen them get a lot of things just completely, absolutely wrong, including there was one that came to a conclusion that was very different than I had come to. And the reason I knew her conclusion was wrong, she was making all kinds of statements about knives that were found and about how she thought the killer, well, that was sure that the killer was this one guy. And I pointed out to her, A, no weapon was ever found, and B, that guy was dead in prison. There is no way to prove conclusively he was the murderer. Could he have been? Yeah, but I think it was more likely that it was a sex trafficking thing that went wrong. All the signs point to it. It just does. So I'm going to be covering that. And that's the other thing that I've been talking about with the federal judge, former former judge. I shouldn't say federal judge. I forgot whether it was federal or state court. He was the judge in, but he has been doing a lot of these lawsuits to shut down the independent fundamentalist Baptist troubled teen homes. And linking up with him, I was able to give him information he did not know about some of them. He gave me a lot of information I did not know. So that sparked my interest yet again in these IFB troubled teen homes. And more of these things are getting shut down. There's been more and more interest in this. Dr. Phil has done a couple of really, hey, from Costa Rica to Norway. There's been more interest and there's been more of these stupid things shut down. And as much as I'm not a fan of Dr. Phil, anything that exposes what's going on at those places is a good thing. He has sent several people, including bad baby Danielle Bergoli, to some of these places that have abuse allegations and questionable methods. Paris Hilton herself was sent to one of these problematic places, and both of them are now talking about their experiences, which is only a good thing. I think that once I finally finish my stupid book on my journey out of Quiverful, my next book will be about these places. People keep asking me, what is taking so damn long in the book? Well, I can tell you right now, like the other day when my kids were here, my youngest said to me, you know, the church was the official My Fisher-Price first drag queen show. And I was like, what? So I started adding a chapter about it after I talked to her about it. Our church used to not do Halloween. They did harvest parties. Okay. What is a harvest party? I hear you asking. It's basically Halloween light, satanic panic light that some of these churches do, where they think that Halloween is demonic. It's this, it's that, bringing in demons. And so what they do is they do a party where the kids get candy for various things. One year they did a costume contest where kids dressed up like various biblical characters. Now that was fun, I gotta admit. And they always gave out candy. We always had hot dogs and candied apples and all kinds of fun things. But it was, like I said, Halloween light. And that was one of the holidays when I was part of the Quiverful Church that I was actually missed, was Halloween and Mardi Gras, being from New Orleans area. I missed Mardi Gras so much in those years. But I didn't dare go against anybody in leadership to say, hey, I'm gonna do Mardi Gras, I'm doing Halloween, blah, blah, blah. No, I did not do that. So these parties, we started having a talent show after a while, which also was a lot of fun. And it brought out an unknown talent in somebody I knew that was he was an awful person most of the time. I mean, running around telling everybody, Jesus, you're burning in hell, which we all know how well that works on an unbelieving world, which is not at all. Okay, so this guy would dress in drag. He would dress in drag. He would put on like a gray wig, grandma-looking wig. He would do the whole face of makeup. He would wear undergarments. And I don't know what he used as his fake boobs, but he had something. He would have on his little floral dress, like an older lady might go to church. Full commit to it. And like I said, this was a very straight-laced, kind of hateful guy that would do this. And he would just poke fun of the weirder stuff at church. And I lived for it. I thought it was hysterical. Like one time he made this big chart that he brought with him to present, and he presented it to one of the elders because the elder was the one that did communion, and he would have his communion tray of cups and say, get real confused up there and go, okay, now which one is the wine and which one is the grape juice? So this guy was always bobbling that. So Ms. Busybody who was the drag queen, the drag performer, made a chart that showed where the wine and where the juice was, and it was just too funny. Another time he was making fun of another elder that was constantly unwrapping, rattling like butterscotch or those little Starlight brought mints, rattling the cellophane. So he made fun of that. So he always had these funny things that were part of our church. Hey, Nancy, that he made fun of. And like I said, he was very funny. He was a quite frustrated fellow. He wanted to go to Hollywood and become famous and become an actor. I think he could have made it as a comedian, but his life did not work out that well for him. He was married to a lady with very serious illness that was going to be fatal one day, and a pile of children. There were all kinds of horrible things that happened to him. He lost his business at one point. They went from pillar to post for a while, just all kinds of stuff. And he never got to work on his dream of being in Hollywood, being an actor. You see Pork back there. So I always felt kind of bad for him, and I still feel kind of bad for him. He and I knocked heads many a time at the church, and some of the things we knocked heads over were just really dumb. Like one time I asked him, my husband had cancer, and I asked him not to keep saying horrible things about the surgeon to my husband because it was freaking my husband out. And I had already researched the doctor. He was pretty well known. And when I said that, he told me, he said, no, BITCH tells me what to do. And he raised his fist and chased me out of his house. My kids and I ran for the car because of this guy. So back to his acting and his drag performance. So Laura, my daughter, and her friend have laughed how that was their first exposure to drag culture and drag performances. And they were completely right. What makes this comical is her friend owned a restaurant in our former town for some years. And once a month she would do like drag queen night. They would do drag performances, and the people that we used to go to church with would lose their damn minds, including the person that performed in drag. So they were both laughing and telling me what seeing a drag performance that young was like in the church. So that's what's taking me so long. These things are coming out all the time. My husband's reminding me of stuff. And I'm doing a huge edit because my last edit, my computer ate the edit. I don't know what happened. 200-page edit and just destroyed it, even though I was trying to back it up all the time. So I'm going from that restore point forward. I am going to ask, I'm going to put up a community post where I'm going to put up some questions about topics you guys are interested in, because one of the ones that I'm thinking about doing, and it would be a real surprise if I started talking about it here, was about the paranormal. I've had paranormal experiences since I was a small child, and I don't talk about them much. I haven't talked about them here at all. And I kind of feel the urging to do that. I found a couple of decent paranormal people online that I follow now. And there are some that I really like, and there's some I look at and just go, oh, brother, what are you doing? So I'm about to do that and introduce you to the marvel of sea beans yet again, and do a whole lot more art and crochet. I'm working on some patterns right now for crochet and working on some paintings I'm eager to show off. Like I said, I'm eager not to ever have to talk about that woman again until the 7M trial starts happening, or more things happen in the 7M lawsuit. Okay, you guys, I am going to go. I've talked almost 30 minutes, and the pool is calling me. I'm resuming normal life again. My husband has gotten well enough to get in the pool and to actually eat real food again. So that's going to extremely uncomplicate my life. I no longer have to figure out 1,000 way creative ways to make mashed potatoes taste good. Love you guys. Have a great day, and I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season.